Hello and welcome back to another video on the channel. Today, I'm going to be providing you with an update on my price prediction target for SUI this year. I'm going to be telling you where I think it can go in the bull run, depending on different scenarios, a bullish scenario, a kind of base case, and also a bear case. Okay, I'm going to go through these different scenarios. Going to look at some comparisons in terms of other coins and where other coins that were kind of similar to SUI have gone, and we'll look at where we think it can potentially go. So if that sounds interesting, please make sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel as well if you're new, and also don't forget to check out the VIP group sale linked in the description. There's a sale on right now if you use the code SAVE20 at checkout. That's not going to be here for long. Use it and get all of the perks of the VIP group. So when we're assessing a crypto and where it can go this bull run, I think it's important that we discuss the macro in general, right? Because if Bitcoin does really well, if the total 3 does really well, then I expect a coin like SUI would also do really well. But if maybe Bitcoin was lackluster and the total 3 didn't give us a kind of alt season that we wanted, then maybe SUI's price action will be lackluster. Now, that doesn't mean it won't do anything, but it might not be as good as what some people think. And that's something that we need to bear in mind this bull run, because things have been different so far. Everyone expected Q1 to be incredibly bullish, at least 99% of people did. And it's been an absolute disaster, right? So we need to be aware of that. We need to be aware of the differences this cycle, and that things aren't necessarily moving as fast as what we want, particularly on the altcoin front, especially when we look at Ethereum. Okay. And there's a big question whether Ethereum will even make a new all-time high this cycle. It's not a guarantee. People think it's a guarantee. I don't necessarily think it is. Okay. I think Ethereum may make an all-time high this cycle, maybe marginally, but people are floating around the idea that it's absolutely guaranteed that Ethereum goes to 10K and numbers like that. And I absolutely do not see that. Okay. So we need to be aware that this might not be the cycle where every single coin goes and does a 20 or a 30 or a 40x. That might have been last cycle. And this time it's matured and it's a bit more conservative. And that's just the reality that we need to deal with. Now, that's not to say you won't make any money in crypto. It's just to say, tame your expectations a little bit, because those days of an easy 100x are probably over now in the crypto market. So if we look at the total market cap for cryptocurrency, you can see that we got as high as around 3.7 trillion, give or take. And currently we're sat at 2.7 trillion. So the question is, how high will the total market cap go this bull run? I personally have a prediction of around kind of 4 to 6 or 7 trillion, somewhere in that region, I think would be reasonable for a top. If it only went to 4, that would be just a marginal higher high. It could happen, right? But anywhere between, a 4 trillion and a 6 or a 7 trillion, to me, would be realistic. So if we had to narrow it down even further, then I'd be looking probably at around 6 trillion, most likely. But we'll have to wait and see. There's no guarantees. I don't have a crystal ball. We'll have to wait and see at the time. Now, what I find very interesting about the Bitcoin chart is that if we pull on the 2-week chart, okay, on Bitcoin, I have it saved here, right? If we pull on the 2-week chart or even the weekly, it's super, super interesting how there is a trend line basically stemming all the way from 2017 that can be drawn from 2017 and could have predicted both of these 2 rejection points here on the Bitcoin chart. It could have also predicted the all-time high on Bitcoin last cycle and resistance here in the April pumps of 2021. This is a very interesting trend line, and it seems like every single time it gets hit, we get a rejection. Now, if we were to break above this and break above it significantly, I would expect a massive, massive blow off top for Bitcoin, probably 150K or higher. But if we were to see rejections around this point, that could actually act as a top for Bitcoin, which is around 115K to 120K. That could be the top in the bull run. It's possible, right? People need to bear that in mind, that it's possible that the top could be a little bit lower than what some people think. Okay. And we could be disappointed, just like last cycle. Last cycle, the top was 69K. I remember almost everyone was saying it would go to 100K and they were going to start selling, just before that, just start selling at 90K and it will go to 100K, right? They were way too bullish, way too optimistic, and most people got wrecked. It's only the people who were kind of conservative who actually made it. And it's just going to be the same this time, in my opinion. I'm not saying this is a guarantee. We could go way higher, but there is a chance that Bitcoin gets a lot of resistance around this line. And what's very interesting, you see this blue thing here. This is a complete mirror of the second high in 2021, the second run. If you get that, you put it there, and then you get it here. This is a complete mirror of the 2021 second run. And I have been arguing for some time now that that is the point that Bitcoin is at. We are at this point circled here, okay? We are recovering from a bull market crash, and we're about to go and make a higher high, but I think it could potentially be marginal and not be significantly higher. I could be wrong. I want to make it clear. We could go to 150K or higher, but I would say there's a strong chance that we just go to like 115, 120, 125, something like that, like we did last time. Okay, that's kind of what I'm thinking could happen. Now, with that said, that might not look like a lot of gains will be made, but this will also coincide with altcoin dominance drastically increasing and Bitcoin dominance drastically decreasing, in my view. Now, I don't think Ethereum dominance is going to get as high as what it was last cycle, but I think it could definitely go a lot higher than it is right now. So it probably sounds like I've gone on a bit of a tangent here regarding Bitcoin, altcoins, and Ethereum and everything, and it doesn't really relate to SUI, but it does, because at the end of the day, altcoins move in line with Bitcoin and in line with Ethereum. Just there's a obviously different rate at which they pump. So maybe Bitcoin pumps at 2%, Ethereum will pump at 4%, altcoins pump at 10% a day in a bull run, right? In an alt season. So I think we will get to that point where we only see Bitcoin up 2%, but then Ethereum's up 5%, 6%, and then altcoins are up even more than that. I think we will get to that point. The problem is time is ticking, time is running out, and we don't necessarily have long enough to get those crazy bull run prices that some people are saying. So I would lean more to the cautious side, more to the conservative side in my price predictions. And what you will see is when we compare SUI to other coins, you get exceptionally high price predictions, okay? Because last cycle, we had a few layer ones that did exceptionally well. I'll give you a few examples. SUI compared to Solana's all-time high, which wasn't actually last cycle, but if we do it, we can see that you're talking a 15.8x, okay? Now, this is from this bull run. Solana last bull run, I believe, went to like 80 billion or so. So, it's going to be a bit less than that, but you can see the comparison difference, right? If SUI went to the same all-time high market cap as Solana, you're getting a $40 Solana almost and a 15.8x. Now, this is the one that I think is more realistic, which is SUI to Cardano from last bull run, which would be around where Solana went last bull run, that 80 to 95 billion range. Now, that would get you an 11x on SUI from this point in time, and that would be a $29 SUI. Now, that would be my bullish price target. If you're asking me for an optimistic scenario, it would be SUI going to Cardano's all-time high. That would be my optimistic, okay? Because the problem is, although SUI is way better than Cardano and does deserve a market cap of that value, do we actually have the time? Is time on our side? And this cycle is different, and there's economic issues, blah, 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 that could potentially prevent us from having a blow off top of that ilk, right? So that would be my optimistic scenario, would be an 11.7x on SUI. If we're looking for more of a realistic one, I would be looking at SUI going to kind of the avalanche range from last cycle, which is a 3x. Maybe we could go even a bit higher than that, which would be more like a polka dot range, which would be a 7x. So if we're talking realistic, I would say a 4 to a 7x would be like a very realistic scenario. And then if we want to go bearish, then I would be saying that like it just makes a marginal high from the current all-time high to like the next fib level maybe, right? So if we do that and we look at it, a bearish scenario would be like a $7 SUI, which, you know, wouldn't be amazing. Wouldn't be amazing by any stretch. So it's interesting for sure to go and look at some of these comparisons. If we look at like Avalanche, um, you know, you would think SUI would go a lot higher than Avalanche, considering it was Avalanche's first bull run last cycle, and there was way less money in crypto last cycle. And arguably, SUI is just as well backed, if not more well backed, than Avalanche. You would argue there's a strong, strong chance that SUI would exceed the Avalanche all-time high. At least I would anyway. I think it would be very reasonable for that to happen. And what you've also got to realize is the strength of SUI compared to its SUI BTC pair. Okay, which is really, really interesting. If you look at the Bitcoin pair for SUI, it's held up really strong. Golden pocket bounces left, right, and center. It's just a super, super strong pair. If you look at most coins compared to Bitcoin, so like ETH BTC, they look horrendous. They look horrible, right? Look at that. Straight down. You then compare that to SUI BTC, way better. Uptrend with a nice little correction here, ready for the next uptrend. That's how it looks to me. And that would be evidence to me that SUI is going to be an outperformer this cycle. Any day where Bitcoin has a slight move, you see SUI have a bounce. For example, today, Bitcoin is up 0.8%. Ethereum is actually down. XRP is down. BNB is down. Solana is down. Let's go and check on SUI. It's outperforming Bitcoin. It's outperforming Solana. It's outperforming Ethereum. It's outperforming BNB. It's outperforming XRP. That is what SUI does. So I would be inclined to believe that if the total market cap, only did a 2 to 3x, SUI will do like 3 times that. So if the total market cap only does a 3x from here, SUI will do a 9x. If the total market cap only does a 2x from here, SUI will do a 6x, for example. I think SUI will be an outperformer for the rest of the bull run. And whatever other coins do, SUI will probably outperform. So that's my stance on SUI this bull run. I think it can do really well. One good way to kind of get price predictions on a coin would be to go ahead and look at fib extension levels. So if we were to put them on here, you can see from the high to the low, you can see like the next target for resistance will probably be around the $7 to $7.50 region. And then the 2.618, which is a really interesting level. You see a lot of coins kind of top out around that level, is at $10.91. So $11 for SUI seems very, very doable. And then you get to $14.3, and then you get to $16.4. Okay, so anywhere in this region for SUI is very possible. If I had to give you a level which I think is most likely to get hit, I would be looking at that Polkadot comparison from last cycle as the most likely, which would be around a $17 SUI and a 7x on your money as of right now. So that's my prediction. Obviously, I'm not a financial advisor. I could be completely wrong, but go check out the VIP group. If you're interested in seeing what I'm buying, what I'm selling, and joining a VIP group that is active 24/7, helping you out with your cryptocurrency journey, check out the link in the description to the VIP. There is currently a discount code available. Use code SAVE20 at checkout. You're going to save yourself 20%. That's not going to be here for long. This group is very valuable. It's very rare that people leave, but when people join, they stay because of the quality of individuals and the quality of value. So come and join if you're interested, and I'll look forward to seeing you guys in my next video. Goodbye.